Hello and welcome to our soothing, historical journey tonight. As you settle in, allow your mind to drift back through the golden age of cinema, where iconic images became etched into our collective memory. One of the most recognizable symbols in entertainment history is the majestic 20th Century Fox logo, which has greeted audiences for nearly a century. The illuminated searchlights sweeping across a monument of entertainment excellence have become a comforting signal that something magical is about to unfold on screen. This powerful visual signature has evolved significantly over the decades, reflecting changes in technology, ownership, and artistic vision. Understanding the history behind this iconic emblem takes us through the fascinating development of the film industry itself. Tonight, we'll explore how a simple studio identifier transformed into one of the most recognized corporate symbols in the world. The story begins in 1915 with a Hungarian immigrant named William Fox, who established the Fox Film Corporation after years of working in the theater business. Fox was an ambitious visionary who saw the immense potential in the nascent film industry. The early logo for his company was relatively modest compared to what we know today, featuring simple text rather than the monumental structure we're familiar with. During these formative years of cinema, studios were establishing their identities and crafting visual signatures that would appear before their films. These early logos were primarily functional, serving merely to identify the production company, rather than creating an emotional experience for the audience. William Fox's company quickly grew to become one of the major players in Hollywood, producing numerous successful silent films and eventually expanding into sound pictures. The foundation was being laid for what would eventually become an entertainment powerhouse with global influence. In 1935, a pivotal moment occurred when Fox Film Corporation merged with 20th Century Pictures, forming 20th Century Fox under the leadership of Darryl F. Zanuck and Joseph Schenck. This merger represented a significant consolidation within the industry and necessitated a new visual identity to represent the combined entities. The renowned designer Emile Cosa Jr. was commissioned to create a monument-style logo that would convey the grandeur and permanence of the new studio. The result was the now familiar Art Deco structure, illuminated by searchlights against a dramatic sky. This design brilliantly captured the glamour and spectacle of Hollywood's golden age, with its bold geometric forms and dramatic lighting. The original version featured the words 20th Century Fox in a distinctive typeface that emphasized modernity and forward-thinking. When audiences first witnessed this spectacular introduction, it must have seemed like a perfect embodiment of Hollywood's promise of escape and wonder. The iconic searchlights of the logo were inspired by the actual searchlights used at Hollywood premieres during this era. These powerful beams of light would sweep the night sky, drawing attention and creating excitement for major film openings across Los Angeles. By incorporating this real-world element into their corporate identity, 20th Century Fox created an immediate association between their brand and the glamour of cinema. The number of searchlights in the logo has varied over the years, ranging from as few as 3 to as many as 14. This variation reflects the organic evolution of the design, as it was reinterpreted by different artists and adapted to different presentation formats. The musical fanfare that accompanied the logo, composed by Alfred Newman in 1933, became just as recognizable as the visual element. This triumphant brass theme has become one of the most famous pieces of corporate music ever created, instantly transporting listeners into a cinematic mindset. Throughout the 1940s and 1950s, the logo remained relatively consistent, serving as a stable brand identifier during a period of tremendous growth for the studio. Under the leadership of Spyros Skouras, 20th Century Fox produced numerous classics and pioneered new technologies like CinemaScope, which revolutionized the widescreen format. The logo appeared before such legendary films as All About Eve, The Day the Earth Stood Still, and How to Marry a Millionaire. It was during this period that the logo truly became embedded in popular culture, appearing in theaters across America and increasingly around the world. As television began to compete with cinema for audience attention, the distinctive 20th Century Fox logo helped distinguish the theatrical experience. The grandeur and spectacle it promised was something that early television simply couldn't match. The steady presence of this iconic image represented continuity amid rapid, technological and cultural changes in the entertainment industry. Little did audiences know that this was just the beginning of the logo's evolution. As we continue our journey through the evolution of this iconic symbol, we must acknowledge the significant technological advances that influenced its development. In the 1950s and 1960s, the introduction of widescreen formats like CinemaScope necessitated adaptations to the 20th Century Fox logo. The monument and searchlights were redesigned to take advantage of the expanded canvas, creating an even more impressive visual spectacle. The wider format allowed for a more dramatic presentation, with the searchlights sweeping across a broader expanse of sky. This era saw the studio producing epic films like The Sound of Music and Cleopatra, which perfectly matched the grandiose nature of their opening logo. The golden era of Hollywood was in full swing, and the 20th Century Fox fanfare and monument had become synonymous with cinematic excellence. When audiences heard those triumphant notes, they knew they were about to experience something special on the silver screen. The 1970s brought another significant update to the logo when the studio commissioned artist Tom Jung to redesign the monument for a more contemporary look. Jung's version maintained the essential elements, but refined them for modern sensibilities, adding more dimension and detail to the structure. The searchlights became more dramatic, and the entire presentation felt more polished and precise. This updated version appeared before some of the decade's biggest blockbusters, including the original Star Wars in 1977. Interestingly, George Lucas was so enamored with the 20th Century Fox fanfare that he insisted John Williams compose the Star Wars theme in the same key, so the transition between the two musical pieces would feel seamless. This thoughtful integration demonstrates how deeply the logo had become woven into the fabric of the cinematic experience. For many moviegoers of that generation, the 20th Century Fox fanfare and Star Wars theme are inextricably linked in their memories. A revolutionary change occurred in 1981 when the studio celebrated its 50th anniversary by updating the logo once again. This time, they embraced new computer technology to create a more dynamic and three-dimensional version. Designed by visual effects company Robert Abel and Associates, this version featured improved perspective and a more realistic treatment of the searchlights. The monument appeared more substantial, with greater attention to architectural details and lighting effects. This modernized logo debuted with the film The Cannonball Run and represented the studio's commitment to embracing new technologies The timing was significant, as it coincided with the rise of special effects in filmmaking and demonstrated that 20th Century Fox was positioning itself at the forefront of innovation. This version would become familiar to a new generation of moviegoers, appearing before films like The Empire Strikes Back, Aliens, and Die Hard. In 1994, another milestone was reached when 20th Century Fox commissioned a fully digital version of their logo, created by the visual effects company Blue Sky Studios. This computer-generated version represented a quantum leap in sophistication, with photorealistic rendering of the monument and searchlights. The camera now moved dramatically through the scene, creating a more immersive and dynamic experience. The monument's details were sharper than ever, with realistic textures and lighting that created a sense of weight and presence. This version debuted with the film True Lies and showcased the studio's commitment to cutting-edge visual technology. The new logo was so impressive that it actually became a talking point among audiences who were astonished by its realism and grandeur. This period coincided with the digital revolution in filmmaking, and the updated logo perfectly symbolized the studio's embrace of these new possibilities. The human figures behind these evolutions were just as important as the technological advances. One key figure was Rupert Murdoch, whose company News Corporation acquired 20th Century Fox in 1985. Under Murdoch's leadership, the studio experienced a period of expansion and diversification, which influenced how the brand was presented to the world. The logo remained a constant through these corporate changes, providing visual continuity even as the company structure evolved. Another influential figure was Barry Diller, who served as chairman and CEO in the early 1980s and helped position the studio for future success. These executives understood the value of maintaining such a recognizable brand asset while sensitively updating it to remain relevant. The balance between, as we drift deeper into our exploration, let's uncover some fascinating analysis and intriguing facts about this iconic symbol. The 20th Century Fox logo holds the distinction of being one of the longest continuously used logos in cinema history, with its basic design elements remaining recognizable across nearly a century. This remarkable consistency speaks to the power of the original concept created by Emile Cosa Jr. The monumentality of the structure, combined with the dramatic searchlights, created a visual language that has proven remarkably adaptable across changing technologies and audience expectations. One particularly interesting aspect of the logo's design is how it embodies the concept of permanence and prestige through architecture. The monument's style draws heavily from Art Deco influences, which were popular during the studio's formative years. This architectural choice wasn't merely aesthetic, but strategically communicated stability and grandeur during the uncertain economic times of the 1930s. The psychological impact of the logo experience should not be underestimated, as it serves multiple functions beyond simple brand identification. The combination of the monumental structure, dramatic lighting, and triumphant fanfare creates a moment of anticipation that prepares audiences mentally for the cinematic experience to follow. This sensory ritual has been studied by film theorists, who note how the logo functions as a transitional space, helping viewers shift from their everyday reality into the narrative world of the film. The consistent presence of this logo before thousands of films has created a powerful Pavlovian response in audiences. Many people report feeling a sense of excitement and anticipation merely at the sound of the opening notes of the fanfare. This demonstrates the extraordinary power of consistent branding, when reinforced over decades of positive associations with entertainment experiences. The logo has experienced some unique adaptations for specific films, revealing a playful self-awareness that has endeared it further to audiences. For example, in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, the logo appears in black and white with a thunderstorm in the background, setting the tone for the campy horror parody to follow. In Edward Scissorhands, the searchlights are obscured by gently falling snow, creating a fairy tale atmosphere that perfectly introduces Tim Burton's gothic fantasy. Perhaps most famously, the Star Wars films featured the standard logo but replaced the familiar fanfare with silence before the iconic "A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away" text appeared. These creative adaptations show how the logo has become not just a corporate identifier, but a cultural touchstone that filmmakers can reference and play with. The willingness of the studio to allow these variations demonstrates a confidence in the strength of their brand identity. Some technical aspects of the logo's evolution reveal interesting insights into changing production methods. The original, optical techniques used to create the searchlight effects in early versions involved painstaking work with specialized equipment to achieve the desired look. Later versions used miniature models photographed with motion control cameras, representing the height of practical effects technology. The transition to digital rendering in the 1990s allowed for previously impossible camera movements and lighting effects, dramatically enhancing the sense of dimensionality and presence. Each technological shift in the logo's production parallels broader changes in filmmaking technology, making the logo a fascinating microcosm of cinema's technical evolution. These production methods weren't merely technical choices, but reflected the studio's commitment to presenting itself at the cutting edge of visual possibilities. A lesser-known fact about the 20th Century Fox logo concerns its sound design, which has been just as carefully crafted as its visual elements. The familiar fanfare composed by Alfred Newman has been re-recorded and updated multiple times over the decades, with each new version taking advantage of improvements in audio technology. The version created in the 1990s was recorded with a 87-piece orchestra at the 20th Century Fox Newman Scoring Stage, named after the composer himself. Sound designers have also carefully crafted the subtle ambient sounds that accompany the visual, such as the gentle electric hum of the searchlights and the atmospheric presence that gives the monument a sense of place. These audio elements work subconsciously on the audience, enhancing the feeling of witnessing something monumental and important. The careful attention to these sonic details demonstrates the studio's understanding that their logo is not merely a visual identifier, but a multi-sensory experience that sets the stage for cinematic immersion. As we approach the conclusion of our journey, we must consider the profound impact this iconic logo has had on global visual culture. The 20th Century Fox monument and searchlights have transcended their original purpose as a studio identifier, becoming a universal symbol of cinema itself. When people around the world think of Hollywood movies, this image often comes to mind, regardless of their native language or cultural background. This remarkable achievement in visual communication demonstrates how corporate symbols can evolve into cultural landmarks that belong, in a sense, to everyone. The logo has been parodied, homaged, and referenced in countless ways throughout popular culture, appearing in television shows, video games, and even other films. This widespread recognition makes it one of the most successful brand identities ever created, instantly communicating quality entertainment across language barriers and generations of viewers. The logo faced perhaps its most significant transformation in 2020, when Disney acquired 21st Century Fox and rebranded the film studio as 20th Century Studios, removing the Fox name while retaining the familiar visual design. This change represented the end of an era, but also demonstrated the enduring value of the iconic imagery. The decision to maintain the monument and searchlights while updating the text speaks to the logo's powerful equity in the minds of audiences. Some film historians expressed concern that this change marked the end of one of Hollywood's most storied studios as an independent entity. Others saw it as an inevitable evolution in an industry increasingly dominated by a few major conglomerates. Regardless of one's perspective on the corporate changes, the preservation of the core visual identity acknowledges that some brand elements transcend their corporate ownership to become cultural heritage. The technological journey of the logo continues into the digital streaming age, where it has been adapted for smaller screens and different viewing contexts. The logo now appears before content on Disney Plus and other streaming platforms, often in shortened or modified form. These adaptations present new design challenges, as the logo must maintain its impact and recognition value, even when viewed on mobile phones or tablets rather than cinema screens. The careful balance between honoring tradition and embracing new media contexts demonstrates the flexibility built into the original design concept. What began as a theatrical experience designed for the grandeur of movie palaces has successfully transitioned to intimate personal viewing experiences without losing its essential character. This adaptability suggests that the core elements of the design tapped into something fundamental about how visual symbols create meaning and emotional response. The educational value of studying this logo's evolution extends beyond film history, touching on broader themes in visual communication, branding, and cultural studies. Design students analyze the 20th Century Fox logo as a case study in longevity and adaptability, identifying the core elements that have allowed it to remain relevant across decades of changing aesthetic trends. Marketing professionals point to it as an example of successful brand stewardship, where updates are made thoughtfully without sacrificing recognition value. Cultural theorists examine how the logo has functioned as a framing device that signals transitions between everyday reality and narrative space. The fact that a corporate identifier can support such rich analysis demonstrates its significance beyond mere commercial purposes. The logo has become part of our shared visual vocabulary, a cultural artifact that carries meaning beyond its original intended function. As we conclude our exploration tonight, let us appreciate how this simple studio identifier evolved into one of the most recognized symbols in entertainment history. The journey from a modest text logo in the early days of cinema to a fully realized digital environment mirrors the broader evolution of the medium itself. Throughout its many iterations, the 20th Century Fox logo has maintained a perfect balance between tradition and innovation, preserving its essential character while embracing new possibilities. As you drift towards sleep, perhaps you'll see those searchlights sweeping across your mind, a comforting signal that you're about to enter a world of dreams and stories. The enduring power of this iconic image reminds us that some visual symbols transcend their commercial origins to become part of our collective imagination. In this way, the 20th Century Fox logo stands not just for a studio or a corporation, but for the transformative magic of cinema itself. A beacon that has guided audiences through a century of shared dreams, projected in light upon countless screens around the world. Good night, and may your dreams be as magical as the movies that have shaped our cultural